Good morning, Tina Mitchell, your local mortgage expert and your host of Coffee with a Superstar. My show is with real estate agents for real estate agents. I interview the best of the best in the industry so you can hear what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I travel to my superstar's office to invite you behind the scenes of their business. And second time joining me, Phil. I'm so happy to be able to have a conversation with you again.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking me.
And Phil is my superstar for this morning. So a little bit about Phil Rodocker with John L. He's been recognized in the top 1% with John L.
Yep.
Yeah, does a great book of business. Having lived in Maple Valley area with for his whole life, Phil and his wife are dedicated to help those in need within the community. A local organization he and his wife are involved in is Vine Maple Place, which is dedicated to providing hope in children that are facing homelessness. He also spends much of his spare time volunteering at his local church, sitting on the board of directors and assisting at service every Sunday. Phil donates to charities supporting people living in third world poverty and also donates to Children's Seattle Hospital. The John L. Scott concept of living life as a contribution speaks to Phil as he strongly believes in the importance of putting effort towards giving back both in life and daily work. And Phil, not unusual for to have a successful business, but to also be successful in contribution in their community. Yeah, so it's really important to you.
Yeah, you have to give back, right? Yeah, I mean, you don't have to. I mean, it's got to be a drive. It's got to be a want for you to do that. And we've been big with Vine Maple Place, which is a homeless shelter for families that are displaced, that they lose their house or their home for one reason or another, if it's alcohol addiction or if there's abuse or if there's anything going on that they are seeking shelter. It's a great organization. We've been dedicated to that for almost 20 years now.
Wow.
I've been working at my church as a leader there for about the same amount of time, 22 years. I've raised my whole family through the United Methodist Church. My kids were confirmed and baptized through that church, and it's been great for us in the community to be able to give and serve. And I've been donating to Children's Hospital for close to 30 years now. And I donate to their uncompensated care department for people that they have an illness that comes on their child and they don't have the money to pay for their own shelter, or they don't have money to pay for food because they're putting all their resources towards their child's health. That I've been contributing to that for years, and we just did a big fun ride. I had a baseball tournament for my clients, and we did a fundraiser for them. We raised a bunch of money for them this year, so It went really well. Then they had an auction that I went to, and we donated a lot to that auction for the uncompensated care department, because I think it's important to know that by the grace of God go all of us, and at any moment our life could change.
Exactly.
And without people in the community to help other people in the community, they're great people that just fallen on hard times. I mean, what else? What other calling do we have but to help each other, to make sure that we're okay, especially children?
Yes, and the parents of trying to raise those children. When you come from a place of contribution, it helps to keep you grounded and appreciate the things that we have. So I love that, Phil.
Yeah,
so
this is a great week to talk about it, because this is Thanksgiving week. So
this is Thanksgiving.
Time to give thanks and to be open and be willing to help and support your community. I know there's going to be turkey donations going on. The food banks are looking for help here. Things start to get the resources that we have get exhausted from people that need help in the winter. And so if anybody's out there and they want to donate to the Vine Maple Place, if they want to do the Maple Valley Food Bank, if they want to go to the Kent Bank, or there's one in Bellevue, these organizations really could use our help this time. It could either be food donations or a monetary donation, so they can go out and buy food. And don't overlook the things that come in the mail that say 25 cents can feed a family for a week, because it's a collective effort that causes that to happen. So in this week of giving season that we're in right now, just be open-minded to what you can do to help somebody. I think it might make a difference.
Yeah, if we all come from a place of contribution of whatever we can do, small or more, makes a difference. Yeah, thank you for that shout out for your organizations that you support, Phil. So, Phil, let's talk about. I'm going to ask you the same questions, kind of my staple questions,
Sure.
and I know that the answers, we get so many different views and different answers for these questions, but I think they're really important. So, what's been going on with you that's caused any challenges, and what have you learned from that and taken away from it?
2019. Okay, so it's market shift, right? That's always the challenge that we face as a market shift. The thing that helps us as agents become better as agents is that we stay very specific to what we do, and we keep our craft in place, and we have a foundation that we're working with all the time. But the market's always shifting. It's always changing. It's a living thing, and the people are alive, and the type of advertisement we do and the type of exposure that we have to the marketplace is always changing. So I think the biggest challenge that I did, a very heavy foreclosure market that we came out of the last couple of years, we've been in what we call the recovery cycle, and now we're getting back into a healthy market and low interest rates. Sellers are now seeing that there's more equity in their houses, so they have options. Before, when the market went down, it went down 30% back in 2010, that it really exposed people, because here's the thing about our business is that we have to know is that life happens.
Yes.
Life's happening every day, right?
And market happens.
And market happens, but life happens, and what I mean by life happens is kids are going to school, kids are graduating from empty nesters, there's children that are now out of college that want to buy their house, there's divorces that are going on, there's bankruptcies out there, there's death, there's illness. All these things happen, but when the market goes down and people lose their equity, they're exposed. Even though life's happening around them, they're exposed, and they don't have that home or that equity in their house to fall back on. Well, now we're seeing that the equities are back up, the interest rates are down, so now people have that equity to fall back on, so they're not as exposed. So it's changing the way we're doing business right now. And I think that coming into next year, right, a lot of important. So I hired my daughter. She just graduated from Central with a degree in business administration and a minor in marketing.
Okay.
And so she's on the team now, and she's going to be running that marketing side. So you're going to see more of that side being pushed, and that'll be from her, because I think that's going to be critical as all the technology is changing, right? I think the other thing going into the next wave, and I think this is a wave, right, that we're going to be in for a while. I think we just finished our foreclosure wave, right? And before that, we had appreciation wave. I think we just fell out of the foreclosure wave, and now we're going to be back into appreciation wave, but it's going to be more of a cocooning. As we bring more people into the area, fewer people are going to want to be going out of their house to do things, and out of their house even to work. They're going to be able to do telecommuting more, and so being what we call a hyper local agent in a community, I think is going to be critical over the next 7 years to grab that community, right? So, and in our industry we call it farming, but it's not a farm per se, because a farm is a neighborhood. We're talking community, right? So a farm is like, okay, let's control, let's just throw something out, Renton. Okay, so you find a neighborhood inside of Renton. What's a nice one over here? Hillshire not Hillshire, that's Kent. I'm thinking Summerwind. Okay, so Summerwind's a nice neighborhood here in Renton, okay? Or you could go up to Honey Creek, or you could go to Newcastle. I mean, you pick out a neighborhood, you could say, okay, I'm going to be in Newcastle at the golf course, okay? But then what you're doing is you're just honing it down to one specific area, where hyperlocal is more the whole city. So you say, okay, I'm going to be involved in the city operations, maybe city council, maybe city planning, maybe being a volunteer at the schools, working on PTA, working more, one step bigger than just the farm. And I think that as we go in the next 5-7 years, it's going to be critical for us to pick up that community and be that person in that community for the community.
And so why are you feeling that? Are you still believing in focusing and targeting at a higher level on a neighborhood, and then also expanding it into a city, maybe not as many touch points? Or are you feeling that the smaller farming is something that you're not going to participate in as much, to put all of your efforts in an entire city?
Well, I think it's like dropping a rock in the water. When you hit the water, you're going to get the epicenter of it's going to be where the strength is, right? So where you live. Okay, you're dropping there because that's where you're driving. Okay, that creates the biggest, ripple effect in your business. So you want to spend a lot of time around there. But if you say, okay, well, there's a big development going on in Black Diamond right now. It's called 10 Trails. You guys probably know about that. So you should know about it. It's going to be one of the biggest master plan communities in our area with over 6,000 houses.
Wow.
Okay, it's a project that's going to go on for 20 years. They just started opening it up. I think they've got like 60 or 80 people living in it. Okay, that's a nice long-term proposition for a city, but it's not a now because period. It's going to take 5, 7, 10 years for it to really start to grab, right? And so that one, even though it's going to be big, it's going to be huge, it's there, probably wouldn't be a good one to focus on, right?
Okay.
So you focus on something that's close to you, right, in there, and then instead of taking that and expanding it out, you concentrate on that neighborhood and then work the city of that neighborhood.
Yeah, makes sense.
Work that community and then work the city of that community. Don't work community because of the cost and expense, where if you can say, I'm in this and this, right? And I think that's going to be greater on the impact.
I love what you said too, Phil, that neighborhood to focus on is the one that you're in, because you're involved and you're part of that community.
Yeah,
so
and they know you.
Exactly. So as Phil said, be hyper focused on an area that you want to target on. Do those high touch points. Engage in the neighborhood and that community as much as you can, but continue to expand out within the city so that you've got a further reach, and also you look more as the expert when you're reaching out to everything that's involved in that city. Yeah.
And so we have in our minds, right, in our head, it's called a reticular activator.
Yes, I'm very familiar with that.
Okay.
Depending on how you use it.
Yeah. We'll go with the good side.
We'll go with the good side.
Well, off camera, we'll talk about the bad side. I don't know what that is. I'm curious now. Look at me. I'm getting all excited to know what that. So the reticular activator is just it's in our mind. Everybody's got one. Is when you want something or you need something, you start to see everything like that around you, right? Mm-hmm. And so we market in a local community, not to like, hey, work with me, but it's to get that activator kicked in, right? Yes. So they see you in a repetitive way. So when they say, okay, it's time for us to sell, that you become top of mind because their mind's used to seeing your name.
Yes.
Okay, you can do that in a neighborhood, but then you're just restricted to just those 200 houses of that activator kick in, right? Now, if you're working on a city level, right, and you're helping out with PTA, you're helping out with the schools, that you're in areas where there's thousands of people, right?
Yes.
And so now you have the opportunity to have that activator kick in thousands of levels, right?
Yes.
And so back before, I used to work with buyers. I still do, but I mean at a level where I was doing classes, and I just really put a lot of focus and energy into that area. And the thing that I knew is that if I did classes versus one-on-one, that I was getting 50 people in a room, I can say that one message to 50 people.
Yep.
And then the law of averages say, hey, out of 50 people, there's probably going to be more than one that wants to get more information about that. Where if I'm just with one person, I have to do one. So it's all about just volume message, right?
It is. And that's why I do Coffee with a Superstar, because I'm in front of all of you real estate agents. That's why I do my radio show, because it's getting to amass people. That's why I do my coaching program, is because I get agents together. And I love in the spirit of really being able to have a group of people. And I always say too, Phil, different example, but same, in the same line of it, is when you're meeting one-to-one, if you're getting together with one person or you're putting a group of people together, it's much more powerful for those other people as well, because we're getting them connected together, which that's what it's all about.
Sure.
Yes.
That's what you want, yeah.
So Phil, let's talk a little bit about your success and your key tips there. So obviously giving back to your community, when we all know when we come from a place of contribution, truly come from a place of contribution, the monetize is going to come back. That's just the way the universe works. Consistent success that you've had through all of the different markets. Obviously being laser focused and targeted on what you're doing and thinking ahead, you're always a step ahead to what's coming in the market, so you're preparing for it. What else?
Yeah, I'd say that, and just being very attentive to the client's needs right now, right? I think that what happens is we get so much business going on is that we lose our attention, right? And so we want to be very attentive, but be very focused on what you like about this business too, right? I think a lot of agents, so the thing about real estate is that it's a name, just like Boeing is a name, just like Microsoft is a name. These are just names, and there's all subcategories in that organization, right? It's just not Bill Gates anymore. He's retired, but let's just use him because everybody knows his name. He ran Microsoft. It was him and Paul Allen. But what did they have to do in order for them to grow and expand? They had to hire more people. They had to be willing to go up, and they had to create categories underneath them. Marketing. They had to have their tech. They had to have their finance. They had to have all these different levels. So in real estate, it's no different. It's a small business that you can make a big business out of, but you have to be focused on what you like about this industry, what excites you, what jazzes you, because there's a million ways, but you got to really be focused on the 1 million way that you like, and the 1 million way that you like to do business, right? And that's what's kept me in it for 30 years, is that I've always driven myself towards what I'm passionate about in the business first, what excites me about what I'm doing, right? And there was a time when it was working exclusively with listings, and I referred all the buyer activity out. Then I shifted and went from that into working pretty much exclusively with buyers and referred all my listings out. Then I shifted back, and so it's just knowing when to move and be excited about what you're doing, and always look at the possibilities, right? And not get stuck in a rut, because I think that's where some agents lose it, is where they get caught in a lane, and they're not happy with that lane, but they don't know how to get out of that lane, right? And so it just know, be open to the shift, right? And when the market shifts, be ready to retool and bring that value to the community, and you'll always be relevant.
Yes, and you talked about life changes too, because I think not just in real estate or mortgage, but in any industry, the people that are on the sales side and the lack of possible business there. And I like when you said about life changes, again, a different conversation around it, but people are always going to be buying and selling real estate, and so don't worry about what might happen that hasn't happened yet, and know that the market does always change. There's going to be ups and downs, but as the market changes and it becomes more difficult, it's becoming more, because of the lack of business or opportunity, it's becoming more difficult for majority of people, and a lot of people are going to get out. So being seasoned in the industry, I'm not afraid of a bad market, and I don't want a bad market, but I'm actually not fearful of it, and actually have a little bit of excitement, because I know there's so much more opportunity in that market, because a lot of people get out of the market and they need us a lot more. So, kind of jump into whatever market it is, being excited about what that opportunity has for you.
That's right. Now, I've been through 4 economic downturns in real estate, right? The .com boom and bust, right? When Windows 95, before it came on the market, before that it was dot matrix, so that changed the landscape of our business. The mortgage crisis, we had a mortgage crisis where there was a to Everett, and so there was a lot of houses down there. There wasn't a lot of sales. That was earlier on, and Boeing sold off a lot of their property because of all that. Now they wish they had it back, right? That was just a big parking lot down there. They turned into a city. Can you believe that? A parking lot that's a city now. So it's interesting. And so when you see that, and the real estate boom and bust, we went through that. So when you go through a couple of those cycles, you kind of get a feeling for how it feels, and how to react, and how to stay calm in those circumstances. But here's the thing that I figured out a while ago that's helped me in my business, okay, is that we have what's called an absorption of inventory. It's a percentage of houses that are selling every month based on how many houses are available. So let's say there's 20,000 houses on the market, and 2,000 of those houses sell. What percentage is that? You guys know the percentage, 20,000 to 2,000 is 10%.
Yeah, 10%.
Okay, so I'm doing simple math. You guys can look this up for your community. If you're in Snohomish County, King County, Pierce County, there's a gentleman out there. His name's Alan Pope, AlanPope. He does .com. He does an overview every single month of the absorption of what's happening in the area. Okay, you can look on Trend Graphics. They do the same thing. Okay, these are just places to go, or you can do it yourself. All you have to do is just look up the houses in your community, look up how many sell, and you do a percentage. Okay, and why that absorption is important is you can see based on what that number is of how you need to run your business. So if I figured out, if I said, okay, in order for me to run my business, I need to have 10 houses sell a month, okay? And I know that the absorption is what, 10%, we just said that. How many houses do I need to have on the month if I want to have on the market to get 10 sales a month? 100. Okay, so that means I just have to go out and find 100 people that want to list their house. If the absorption rate's at 10%, that'll give me 10 listings. But I have to be geared up. I have to have the signs, I have to have the boxes, I have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for whatever commitment you make, because a lot of agents go out and they go, I want this, but they don't have the preparatory stuff behind them. They don't have their marketing presentation down. They don't have their lock boxes available. They don't have their stagers lined up. They don't have their photographers lined up for volume. Okay, if you make a commitment to this, then you have to be prepared for that commitment that you make to yourself.
Yeah.
That's where the frustration sets in. If you don't prepare for the commitment, it's not gonna work. So my recommendation is figure out your numbers. Now let's say if it's something different. Let's say that, hey, I only want 2 deals a month, okay? And I'm just saying, I'm gonna use a hypothetical, 2 deals a month, and you do the absorption and you see that the market's absorbing at 50%. Okay, 50% is the number, okay? And you only want 2 deals a month. Guess what? Good news. You only need 4 listings a month.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
Yes.
Because it absorbs at that level, so at that rate. So you know that if you only need 4 listings, and you just have to go out and find those 4, so you have to be prepared for those 4 lock boxes, 4 blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So
And
that's where the top agents really get into listings, is just understanding numbers and how many we need. And the rest of it's just go do it.
And that's really, really great, Phil, because I've never heard it explained that way before. The more prepared you are, the more real that goal is for you,
absolutely.
And more attainable that it is. I love that. And what a great time right now that we're heading into holidays to really take a look at the absorption rate. I love that. I always say to, also start with the income that you want to make and work your way down from that income, because that's really going to help you make a decision on what you need to do in number of units. You can look at increasing your sales price to help there if you don't feel that the units are something that you want to expand on, taking a look at the neighborhood, the community that you're going to target. And it's really fun when you sit down and really put that thought in and you have that plan behind it.
And this is the time of year to do it, right? You've
Yep.
got a good 40-day window here. People are going to be doing, actually I'm pretty busy for the interest rates being low and things are going on, so I know, but you really have to take time and have your head around your goals, because the thing that you know is thoughts are things. And if you're not thinking about your goals and your plans, you're going to get nothing, because you didn't give anything for your mind to work on. You didn't give anything for your thoughts to wrap themselves around. So if you go, okay, today, and it starts out simple, you could say, in that graph that I'm telling you about with Alan Pope, it's 10 years backwards. So history has a way of repeating itself. So if I go today, I want to close 100 transactions next year. Okay? Figure out what that means monthly. As I do them in 10 months, because that allows me 2 months of vacation.
Okay.
So I work 44 weeks a year, right? So, and I keep the numbers round, so it's easy to do quick math. Always do quick math with yourself. Don't get into the minutia, 0.0032145, because you
just round it up.
Just round, because you're confusing your brain. Just don't confuse your brain. It's, keep it super simple, right? And so you keep your goals simple, keep them out there, and your mind can hold on to them, right? And then you can be thinking about them. The more you think about what your goals are all the time, the more they become real.
We were just talking about that when we started out the show.
Yeah, they become real. So I'm just going to go through a quick fast we do for 2020, okay? So if I was going to do 2020, which I already have, and it's a little bit more complicated, but we're just going to go into a real basic one for people who've never done goals before. I'm going to say, okay, I wish that I could earn $200,000, okay? There's the number.
Okay.
So I got the number. So if I figure out that my average sale price is $500, let's say it's $500, and let's say that the average commission is $10,000, okay? Because I'm going to do this, okay? So how many transactions does that equate to? 20. Okay, we work 10 months a year, so you can have 2 months off in vacation during the holidays, a couple weeks off for the kids. You're going to fit it in here and there. You're going to have your PT time. It's going to work out to be 2 months of disappearing, okay? Yeah, 10 solid months. We say 20 transactions. What did that just work out to be? 2 transactions a month. Okay, here you are. So there's your goal. Now you have your goal, 2 transactions a month. If we go to the absorption and we say, okay, in order for me to get 2 transactions a month, the absorption rate's at 50%. I don't know if it is. You got to look it up. I'm just going to use round numbers. It's at 50%. That means you need to get 4 listings a month, okay? How simple that is. Is that pretty simple?
Very simple.
We're going to keep it super simple. How many weeks are there in a month? 4. That means you have to put 1 listing on a week.
Love that.
There it is. There's your 200,000.
And
on that scenario, there's your 200,000.
Yes.
1 listing a week.
Yeah.
You work 5 days a week for that 1 listing. Everything else is secondary to that. And when you put that in your mind, that goal, it sticks and you move towards it.
Exactly.
But keep it simple.
And I actually have a worksheet. If you're interested, reach out to me and I'll send that to you. And then would you agree to, once you have that, Phil, now it's time to put the...
I just put a goal in my head.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thanks you guys for creating this space here for us.
Yeah.
Once you have that, then you can break it down to the activities that you need to do, and break down the calls that you need to make to generate the number of leads that you need to make, and hopefully you have your conversion from last year of how well you are at converting. And this gets exciting for me as well, because you can make adjustments to it based on what you think you can increase your conversion or increase the leads, because you've got to do either one. And then you can break down to the actual individual activities that you're going to do to reach that goal, and it makes it really fun. Victoria runs a report for the team. Victoria's behind the scenes. She's my director of marketing, and so much more.
That's kind of
yes. She sends out a report to the team every month on exactly where we are and how many leads we're short based on the goal that we set up for the year. And we come up with a game changer every year. One game changer, we work it the entire year. Some work, some don't, and if they don't, it's totally fine, because it's an opportunity game. You've got to see what sticks and what doesn't. But what we won't do is make a big commitment on a game changer and then not give it the time to see if it's going to work. Coffee with a Superstar was our game changer for this year, so we're going to keep it. We're going to Phil. So Phil, what other suggestions would you have for an agent that is listening today to really think about as they're putting their plan together for 2020?
Well, I think the thing we have to start with is you're okay.
Yeah.
You're okay.
It's possible for you. You
Okay?
can do
You're
it.
okay. I mean, it's the thing. We let our mind trick us into things, and it's all fear-based, right? I understand that. But like you look at Ichiro, the best base hitter in the history of baseball, but we don't know how much practice and time you put in to get there. All we see is the results of his numbers, right? All you guys see is the results of the numbers, the 1% whatever it is, but what the background is.
That's nice. He's got a water bottle that has his picture that says 1 percentile. Victoria, we need these.
And hey, here's the thing that's cool about this, since you brought that up. I give these out to clients because remember, it's all about being known in your community. So when we do open houses, we make these available and we put these in our listings for people to take with them. Okay. How hard is it to put a label on a bottle that says this and put that, because they're going to be buying in that community somewhere, whether it's with me or somebody else, but they're getting my information because I'm giving it to them in a fashion that they say, please take one when they come in on my listings when I'm not there. Okay, it's just a little tiny thing that I do, but it's all about being known and that reticular activator kicking in, right? And so when we get back to where we're at, how you do it, right? And so like Tina was talking about, you have to know your numbers, okay? How you do it. You have to know your lead sources, where you're going after those leads. But you have to, I'm saying you have to because I'm thinking of myself. I have to, right? I have to be a contribution, right? And when I wake up every day with a mind of how am I going to help somebody today? And how am I going to be, of contribution to somebody? Things happen. Things just happen. And the thing that's cool about life is that live with anticipation of the next day, because we don't know the great things that are coming to us in the future. None of us has a crystal ball. And so always be in hope and anticipation of great things happening. Put your goals out there and just give and serve unconditionally to people, and the results will show, because whatever you hold in your mind will manifest. Get your goals. This is the time to do it. Come into next year. And if your goal is 20 a year, 10 months, 2 a month, now go do it and be a contribution, and it'll happen, and you'll be surprised how it happens.
Great advice. My personal motto is live your dream now, and it's about embracing every second of the day, and through that process, you'll live an extraordinary life. So what we're talking about is all the small things. Make a commitment to yourself. Instead of a big New Year's resolution, make a commitment to be a little bit better than you were yesterday. And if you go in every day, Phil, I heard him say at least 3 times, just as he was talking about contribution, who can you? Think about one person. Just think about not the big, the big contribution you're going to make, but every day being committed to making a difference in someone's life, and see where that will take you. As we're wrapping up time here, it's 30, but I want to say, have you ever said to yourself, I'm not going to be late, I'm not going to be late, I'm not going to be late, and you're late? That's exactly what we're talking about. The brain does not understand the words that you're telling it. It only understands the emotions behind that word. So you have to build up your belief in the possibility of what you can do, and believing in just one small thing will have a ripple effect for you, your business, your life, and then what you can contribute to your community. Phil, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here, and happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy this time with your family, and remember to come from a place of true thankfulness.
There you go.
Thanks.